Chapter 61. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. Luffy, where's Chopper? I have something to do with him. Finn glanced around and didn't see Chopper. How did you know about Chopper? Luffy asked curiously. Finn realized that he had let the cat out of the bag and immediately lied. You know, I was on Drum Island. I've spent so much time there. How could I not have seen the best doctor? Ha ha ha, that's how it is. Luffy then took Finn to find Chopper. Chopper, this is Finn, I told you about it before. Don't you admire him very much? Chopper was also surprised at this time. Chopper, I want to ask you something. Do you know about bloodline factors? Finn asked Chopper directly. Although he knew that there was a high probability that he didn't have any, he still wanted to confirm it. What bloodline factor? I've never heard of it. Chopper said with a puzzled look on his face. Oh, that's okay, don't worry about it. I want to see the Kung Fu manatee, can you take me there? Okay, no problem. At this time, on the beach by the sea, a group of cute animals with turtle shells on their backs were practicing boxing in unison. This scene stunned Finn. They were really Kung Fu enthusiasts. The more Finn looked, the more satisfied he was. He couldn't help but think in his heart. It's really strange. Such cute pets should follow me. Sorry, I like them, and I have to think of a way to trick a few of them over. Seeing Chopper coming over with Finn, the Kung Fu manatee immediately stopped practicing boxing and looked over curiously. When they saw Finn, the Kung Fu manatee were all shocked and extremely scared. Finn's physique really scared them. It contained terrifying power, making them as animals particularly sensitive. If they hadn't seen that Chopper brought them here, they might have run away long ago. This is the nature of animals, to seek benefits and avoid harm. Seeing this scene, Finn was even more satisfied. Isn't this the natural observation color? However, the sixth sense of animals is naturally stronger than that of humans. He guessed that it might be a simple mind. Chopper, who did you bring? How come he is so big? The leader of the Kung Fu manatees knew Chopper, so he asked Chopper. This is Julent D, Finn. Don't worry, brother Finn will not hurt you. He is a friend. Chopper patiently comforted. These Kung Fu manatees are relatively simple-minded and are more likely to believe in their friends. When they heard Chopper say this, they were relieved. Oh, what are you doing here? Brother Finn wants to come and see, Chopper explained, and turned to Finn and said. Brother Finn, do you have anything to say to them? At this time, Finn was a little embarrassed. How should he start? Why don't these little guys challenge him? This is not the script he wants. What went wrong? Finn was a little embarrassed. He couldn't say that he wanted to defeat them and trick them into following him. He could only continue to talk nonsense. Ha ha ha, I just want to see these little guys who like Kung Fu. It's just curiosity, curiosity. After Chopper's retelling, Kung Fu manatee was completely relieved and really felt that Finn had no ill intentions. Finn suddenly had an idea. You don't want to challenge me, right? Then I'll take the initiative to show it. I'll see if I can fool you. Chopper, tell me and ask them if they want to see my Kung Fu. As expected of a Kung Fu fanatic, when they heard that Finn was going to show his Kung Fu, their eyes were shining. A group of little guys nodded wildly. Seeing this, Finn was quite satisfied and a little proud grew in his heart. He began to think about how to be fancy, gorgeous, and powerful, to show his strong strength and high-class style. Then, Shenmue body, second style, gun god, the whole arm was wrapped with domineering, like a gun barrel. Finn secretly glanced at the group of little guys. Each of them opened their mouths, looking surprised, thinking that the effect was not bad. He was very satisfied. Finn pointed the gun, and the tip of his finger pointed out, like a machine gun shooting, bullets and rain, instantly piercing the entire stone wall in the distance, leaving clear bullet holes. At this time, the Kung Fu manatees were stunned and looked surprised. They had never seen such an attack method, so powerful. In their young hearts, they thought that only fists and feet were Kung Fu. This did not open up the pattern at once. This scene, Finn saw it in his eyes, the effect was good, he was very satisfied, but this was just the beginning, he couldn't stand it, that was not okay. The air spike was launched, and in an instant, a gully 100 meters long and 5 meters deep appeared on the ground in the distance. The huge rock was also cut into 2 pieces in an instant. At this time, it was not only the Kung Fu manatee who was stunned. Chopper had never seen such an attack before. He was also panicked and speechless. Finn took a sneak peek and felt a little more secretly happy. What's wrong? You don't think this is all I have, right? He, that won't work. You know, surprises should be put at the end, direct maximum equivalent, cannon punch, wave pulse. The entire rock wall 100 meters high in the distance was instantly smashed to pieces, and dust was everywhere. A group of cute pets couldn't close their mouths at this time. They opened their mouths wide and looked terrified. They were obviously frightened. The scene was very exciting. Finn saw it and was very satisfied. It seems that the effect exceeded expectations. Well, it's good. It seems that there is a chance. But before Finn could think of the next words, all these Kung Fu manatees couldn't wait to become his disciples. In fact, what Finn showed was too much for these Kung Fu fanatics. Kung Fu manatee is not just a name, but also a hobby of these little guys. Chopper wanted to explain to him what Kung Fu manatee meant, but Finn had already understood it through his observation. Chopper, I can understand what they say, no need to explain it to me. But they can't understand what I say, so I still need you to convey it to me. Well, how can you understand their language, Brother Finn? What's going on? Chopper asked curiously. It's no big deal, it's just observation. Doesn't your captain know it too? Finn responded lightly. Of course, it's not that simple. Invisible pretense is the most deadly. Luffy can do it too. No, Luffy can't understand it. That's because he hasn't mastered the more advanced usage yet. Is that so? Chopper, ask them if there are any who want to hang out with me. Chopper, at this time, was even more incredulous. Is this true or false? You want to recruit them? Yes. Don't forget to tell them that I can understand them. After Chopper's explanation, all the Kung Fu manatees gathered around enthusiastically, all wanting to follow Finn, but Finn didn't want to take so many with him. If he took them all away, it would be a mess wherever he went, and he didn't want to change the tribe of this lovely race. If he took them all away, wouldn't they be extinct in Alabasta? He couldn't do such a thing. After thinking for a while, Finn explained to Chopper again. He said that he would select 10 young warriors. The rest would stay, and he asked Chopper to tell them that going to sea is a training for young people, and the older ones have to protect the tribe. This is obviously fooling them. Then, under Chopper's friendly communication, they finally elected 10 stronger little guys and followed Finn and Chopper. While Luffy was recovering from his injury, Finn also took Chopper and the Kung Fu manatees to conduct tacit cooperation training. Although he could understand what they said, he couldn't convey his words, there was no other way. He spent 3 extra days to let these cute pets recognize his commands and communicate simply. Finn also had a simple understanding of the strength of these subordinates. Not bad, they were all at the level of Marine Lieutenant Commander. No wonder they could beat Usopp. Their strength was more dependent on the physical strength of the animals themselves. As for whether the skills they practiced were really useful, Finn still thought they were useless and just empty talk. Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finn was also quite curious about the matter of Alabasta. How did Luffy beat Crocodile? This guy's sand fruit is very strong in this country, however, it was really so dramatic. Although Luffy was domineering, he couldn't beat Crocodile at all. In the end, he relied on water to make the sand visible, and accidentally defeated Crocodile. As Luffy recovered from his injury and started the next adventure, Finn did not choose to follow him and stayed in this country for the time being. He knew Luffy's route. The next stop was Sky Island, but it was meaningless for him to go to Sky Island. Sky Island just had a piece of historical text, and he didn't want it. He was not a hot-blooded pirate chasing One Piece, he was with 10 cute little brothers at this time, so he had to plan well. The next stage of the itinerary, as well as the growth of the little brother's strength, also had to be arranged well. After all, this was his basic base. In fact, it was not that Finn was in a hurry, but at this point, the energy accumulation for the next transformation was far away. It was impossible to transform his qualifications in the short term, and his strength had already entered a bottleneck period. Since the problem of strength growth could not be solved in a short time, he could only practice and train with his 10 cute pets every day, but he found that he had nothing to teach them. What he knew were all high-end things, such as life return, armed color, observation color, and his divine body. It seemed that it could only be understood, not expressed in words. Anyway, he could not describe these skills in words. These things were not easy for human masters to learn, let alone these younger brothers who were inconvenient to communicate. The fact was so cruel that he could not teach. He was really as fierce as a tiger, but now he was still standing there. This made him lose face and was really depressed. How to teach the cultivation of armament hockey? Where can I find a systematic cultivation method? Instantly, he thought of the 9-Snake Island. In the original work, Luffy was sent here by Kuma, who wanted him to learn armament hockey here. It seems that the 9-Snake Island really has a way to pass on armament hockey, otherwise it is impossible for all members to use armament hockey. It seems that I have to go and see it. It just so happens that his own armament hockey was all figured out by himself. It was completely a blind cat encountering a dead mouse, and he also wanted to see the systematic inheritance, embracing all rivers and learning from each other. As for the problem of not borrowing, that does not exist. Rejecting the request of the strong is disrespecting the strong, and there are consequences. I believe that the other party will not be so unwise. 1,010,000 words, there is no way now. The 9 snakes are on the calm belt, there is no record pointer, and they can't get through, especially now that he has no pointers and can't go anywhere. Just when Finn was still thinking about these, Akainu had already come to the door. Although the Navy has issued a bounty for Finn, it is nothing to the strong in this world. If there is no bounty order for those who are famous in the sea, it is another identity card of the strong. Before the strong have fought, no one will submit to the other. When they are together, isn't it this thing that they compete? But if the Navy really does not talk about martial ethics and launches sieges, absolute killings, and demon-killing orders, it will be a fight to the death. Only when one side is dead can the matter be resolved, so the Navy usually does this, either with full confidence or without other choices. Obviously, Finn is far from paying this much attention to the Navy. Zhangguo is also worried that if the beheading action fails to kill Finn, he will be retaliated infinitely. Therefore, he did not take such extreme actions. The risk is too great, and the consequences of failure are unimaginable. Send Akainu alone with his subordinates to attack Finn. He wants Akainu to test Finn's strength. If he can capture him directly, it will be the best. He still recognizes Akainu's strength. In this way, even if the action fails, it will not cause too much backlash. After all, this is not so despicable, but a one-on-one sacred duel. Finn can't just start a massacre without limit to vent his anger. This is also the usual way the Navy deals with such a difficult strong man, and the same is true for Hawkeye. The Navy is big and powerful, so it is easy to look ahead and behind when doing things. You can't ignore the consequences of failure. Julent D. Finn. He has been offered a reward of 1.5 billion, but he is still so leisurely. It seems that he doesn't take our Navy seriously. Akainu shouted to Finn. Oh, Admiral Akainu. You have hurt me this time. There are so many pirates who are not afraid of death on this sea. It's annoying. Look, for safety reasons, I found some bodyguards. Finn said to Akainu, he pointed to the cute pet squad next to him. Huh. Akainu was a little confused for a moment, and he didn't understand what Finn meant by this wave of operations. It shouldn't be to tease him. After thinking carefully, he could only conclude that it should be the fact. I see, a very good partner, otherwise you should stay in the city of Push, so as not to harm them. Ha, you dare to say that you came alone, Mr. Jackpot? Finn said to Akainu with some indifference. He didn't think Akainu could beat him at this time, but he had to do it to know the specifics. After all, it was difficult to say whether the strength on paper would win. Humph, it's really arrogant. Seeing Finn underestimate him like this, Akainu also got angry instantly. Who is he, and when has he suffered this anger? Finn was also worried. He scanned everywhere with his observation hockey and found that only Akainu came. For a while, he was a little confused. What medicine was sold in the gourd? He had never expected that his strength was too strong, and the Navy was afraid to attack him, fearing that he would run away and retaliate. So they only sent Akainu. It seems that you must fight me today to see who wins or loses. Finn continued. Humph, do you think you can run away? Oh, it seems that the Admiral is very confident of his own strength. In this case, I will accompany you for a few moves. You guys stay away, it's best to hide in the sea, this guy is magma, it will roast you. Regardless of whether Kung Fu Manatee understood or not, Finn said a lot. Then he pointed to the distance, and it was the constant inquiries of the cute pets that made them understand what he meant. There was no way he could understand, but his men couldn't understand him. This is the only way to do it first. Keeping him as a pet may save his life at a critical moment. Come on, let me see the strength of the Admiral. Finn took Akainu directly to the desert. After all, it is easy for strong men of their level to fight and cause great damage. Akainu was also furious at this time. He was underestimated by Finn. How could a young man tolerate this? He followed him directly, just wanting to fight. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finn had no prejudice against Akainu, and he came to him just because he thought it was his duty. This was the first time they faced each other, and they had never had any secret confrontations or grudges. Now they were standing on opposite sides, purely because of their different positions. Akainu's character was developed during his growth process, and Finn did not think he was qualified to judge. Don't persuade others to do good without experiencing their suffering. Finn knew that his existence had already affected the actions of the Navy and was seen as a provocation to this behemoth. If the Navy did not do anything, it would be considered a sign of weakness. In this world, only with strong military force can the organization have cohesion, otherwise people's hearts would be unstable. So even though Zhang knew that Finn was difficult to deal with, he still wanted to offer a reward. The reason was to show the Navy's determination, military force, and bottom line. Otherwise, who would take the Navy seriously in the end if everyone followed suit? If Zhang did not order action, he would most likely be considered indecisive and not decisive enough by his subordinates, and then lose confidence in him, and his position as marshal might be shaken. As an important force to maintain the stability of the entire grand navigation and the four seas, Finn also recognizes his role. Without the suppression of the Navy, the world would have long been reduced to a slaughterhouse for the strong. In a world without order, there will be burning, killing, looting, and human tragedies everywhere. Ambitious people will come one after another. Otherwise, how can there be heroes in troubled times? Of course, understanding is one thing, and respecting or not abiding is another. If you come to this world, you have to be trapped in the rules of others. Then what is the point of his heart-trained strength? For the so-called overall situation, swallowing the rules of others? This is not his current character. Can't the peak force make him think clearly and live a smooth life? Although he is already stuck in the mud, who doesn't yearn to go with the flow at the beginning of life, so facing Akainu at this time, he has no personal grudges, but just treats it as a challenge from the strong. Akainu will not let go, and neither will he. No matter what worldview, values, and growth experience Akainu has, these have nothing to do with Finn. When it comes to a battle involving life, there is only the enemy and me. Strength is never innate, it needs sweat to be watered, so Finn respects power and the strong, and full strength is the greatest respect for the strong. General, do it. Finn said to Akainu lightly. Humph. You are quite arrogant. Akainu sneered at Finn, obviously a little unhappy about being underestimated, but he came with a clear purpose, and he would not play the trick of pushing and letting Finn. In that case, let me meet you and see where you get the confidence from. Akainu said coldly to Finn, and then rushed up to launch an offensive. Hell dog. He started his ultimate move right away, without mercy, just a pure will to knock down the person in front of him, but obviously, Finn is not so easy to deal with. This attack coming from the front is not enough to make him retreat, nor will he choose to avoid it. He will take it head on. In addition to Finn's reckless fighting style, it is also necessary to figure out how powerful Akainu's magma attack is. Armament hockey hardening. There is no fancy, only his strongest armed color and his most extreme power, just to fight Akainu head on to see who is the strongest. Fists collided quickly, and a shock wave spread rapidly around with the two people as the center. Both of them could not bear such a force and sank. And the large amount of magma wrapped in Akainu's fist also splashed everywhere in the collision, and the sand was full of burnt sand for a while. If it weren't for Finn's timely armed color protection, he would have been burned. This scene made Finn frown a little. Facing the secondary attack of splash damage and delayed damage, he couldn't help but feel that the magma fruit was really difficult to deal with. After one punch, Finn also felt something was wrong. The nemesis of the natural fruit ability user is the armament hockey, but it was obvious that Akainu was not hurt when he fought with him. His fist hit Akainu's fist, but he didn't feel the feeling of being full of magma fluid, and finally there was a huge collision. After careful observation, he knew that Akainu himself was a master of physical skills who was proficient in armament hockey. The magma was just the surface, and the inner layer of armament hockey was self-protection. When fighting with Akainu, Finn didn't dare to attack with all his strength, because the temperature of the magma-made giant fist was too high. Armament hockey was a layer of armor, but it didn't say that this thing could be invulnerable to water and fire, so, after one move, Finn knew that Akainu was not simple. But it was not his style to give up so easily. If the fists couldn't match, then it was wrong. He didn't believe that his body could be like a fist, wrapped in this thick magma. Finn directly activated the hardening of his whole body's armament hockey, just to fight Akainu. He didn't believe that Akainu could beat him in physical skills, attack speed, and strength. With a countermeasure, Finn didn't say anything, and directly used both fists in turn, quickly and with all his strength. After the fist blocked Akainu's attack, he immediately started to attack Akainu's body. In an instant, the two had fought dozens of times. But what surprised Finn was that Akainu was completely fine at this time. Finn's armament hockey fist had no effect on Akainu, which made him a little confused. Doesn't armament hockey restrain natural abilities? In fact, it was the description of the few words in the memory of the previous life that created an illusion. Armament hockey restrains the ability of the natural fruit, which is correct, and it is also the only way to attack the fruit ability user itself, but it depends on who you are dealing with. There is always a countermeasure for mutual generation and mutual restraint. If it can be restrained so easily, then the natural fruit will not pose any threat to the strong. Which strong person does not have the armament hockey? Wouldn't the natural fruit ability user be a living target? If so, what's the use? Of course, for the natural fruit ability users who are not strong, it is indeed the case. Armament hockey is the natural enemy. However, it is obviously not the case for Akainu. If he really has such a big flaw, how can he have a place in the position of the strong? In confusion, the two sides fought again. Obviously, at this time, Finn was a little angry. After fighting for a long time, his hands were burned red by the high temperature, but Akainu was not hurt at all. The magma splashed from Akainu began to slowly melt the surrounding sand. Gradually, Finn found that there was no place to stand and fight. At this time, if Finn still didn't know what was going on, he really underestimated him. After a fist collision, Finn did not continue to tangle with Akainu, and quickly distanced himself from him in a few seconds. "General, you are really not simple," Finn said to Akainu with some approval. Is this what it means to foresee the future? Chapter 64. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Humph, so what if I found out? Finn, at this time, already understood that the weakness of the natural devil fruit had been solved by Akainu in front of him. That's right, it was the ability to foresee the future with the observation hockey. Before the attack reaches him, he activates the magma transfer core in advance, and the attack hits only the magma, not the body. If Akainu can't keep up with Finn in speed and can't dodge the attack, then he won't dodge, but directly take it, relying on the observation hockey and the fruit ability to offset the attack. From this, It can be seen that Akainu has a lot of combat experience. When fighting Blackbeard, he knows that he can't get close to him and uses AoE to bombard him. In the battle against Finn, he knows that Finn is a strong man in the sea, land, and air. His range attacks such as magma volcano and big fire breathing are useless and too slow. Finn can easily dodge them, so, he directly chooses to fight Finn in hand-to-hand combat. As expected, he is a pure navy who has lived as an elite navy since the beginning of the Great Pirate Era. He has a lot of combat experience. Oh, it seems that you still want to use this trick to defeat me, right? You think it's too simple, Finn responded with a cold snort. Obviously he already had a countermeasure in mind. Next, pay attention, General. Finn reminded casually. God of War body, second style, gun god. Finn quickly distanced himself from Akainu, and then immediately punched him hard. Cannon punch, wave pulse. Since armament hockey is the only way to fight against natural ability users, then continue to use armament hockey to fight. The attack area of the fist is too small, and it is useless against Akainu who has the vision hockey of foreseeing the future and can open the magma transfer core in advance. Under the second style, gun god, the cannon punch belongs to the long-range armament hockey release, surging like waves, and is a large-scale attack move. It is impossible for Akainu to transfer to magma. His whole body is a target for attack, and there is no place to transfer. This is also the reason why Whitebeard can attack him. Because the tremor fruit is a large-scale vibration damage. Similarly, he was also quite wary of Shanks, because the existence of Jianwenxia made him no longer immune to attacks. At this time, Akainu saw Finn's plan and knew that his plan to get close to Finn for a melee and make him lose if he defended for a long time would fail. Facing the oncoming armament hockey, Akainu's face was solemn. Because he had no way but to resist, however, he would not use his body to receive it. That would be pure death, and he could only use his fists to resist. Finn, seeing this, knew how to fight next. That's right, long-range attack and continuous consumption. The competition was about who had a stronger armament hockey, who had more power, and who could strike faster. It was really ironic that Finn, a natural fruit ability user, had to rely on long-range consumption to really beat Akainu. Finn also complained in his heart that there were too many ability systems in this world, with different advantages and disadvantages. There are also strong people who will make up for their disadvantages in other ways. It is really uncomfortable to fight against them, and in many cases, you have to adapt to the situation. If it were all strength, domineering, and hard confrontation, wouldn't his strength be obvious at a glance? Unfortunately, it is not a system of power. It is difficult to have a unified distinction between strong and weak, but at this time, Finn has obviously found a way, which is to keep distance from Akainu and use cannon punches to consume. Akainu can only take it hard. He can't avoid a large-scale attack. If this can be avoided, then Finn doesn't need to fight, just run away. Of course, Akainu also knows that Finn has found a way to restrain him and wants to kite him and wear him out. As a real strong man, he will not complain about the enemy's meanness. This is not his style. Besides, Finn just used a fighting method that is beneficial to him. Now the battle is just back to the starting point. It is not certain who will win or lose. Since Akainu knew Finn's plan, how could he let Finn get what he wanted? Meteor volcano. Looking at the magma falling from the sky, Finn also knew Akainu's plan, which was to limit his dodging space. He couldn't use long-range attacks so smoothly, but this was not a problem. How could the magma that fell so slowly from the sky hit Finn? Under the perception of the observation color, it was easily dodged. However, after the magma landed, it actually caused the assimilation of the desert, and the ground began to magma. However, Akainu was not at ease at this time. Under Finn's multiple full-strength cannon punch attacks, his arms were beaten and began to tremble. Obviously, in the confrontation between the armed color and the power, he was no match for Finn at all. Finn also keenly grasped this small detail. Section, further restrict Akainu's attack, prevent him from performing large-scale AoE, and directly start a fast cannon punch attack. Under the cannon punch attack again and again, Akainu is really a bit overwhelmed at this time. He has no other way but to resist. But if he resists, he will be attacked and injured. At this time, he is also angry, not as calm as before the start. not as sure as before the start. In this situation, he knows that if he continues like this, he will fight with physical strength. However, seeing Finn's size, he knows that he will be exhausted to death by Finn. He doesn't think that Finn's meat is fat, and he will definitely not be exhausted. At this time, Akainu is really in trouble, and he can't help but get a little anxious. It's really that Finn's fighting style and such an ability to release armed color are too abnormal. There are not many people who can do it on the sea. Finn grasped this detail of Akainu and did not continue to use cannon punch attack, but directly started the third style, Fallen Angel. This transformation didn't do anything to Akainu, but it made his 10 crew members stare at him. It was so cool. As for why he gave up his advantage. Because Finn himself couldn't foresee the future, so he wanted to confirm how much this ability had to do with emotions. Under the Fallen Angel, the wings vibrated quickly, and Finn instantly appeared in front of Akainu. For a moment, Akainu didn't seem to react. Cannon punch. Finn hit Akainu's chest with all his strength, but he didn't have time to magma to avoid damage, and was directly hit on his body. Although Akainu also had a strong armed color defense, he was no match for Finn. He was punched and flew 100 meters away. When he landed, fortunately he magma in time, so he didn't suffer a second impact injury, otherwise he would be more seriously injured. At this time, blood flowed from the corner of Akainu's mouth, and it was obvious that he had suffered a lot of internal injuries. Fallen Angel is Finn's strongest attack form now. Finn doesn't know if Whitebeard can resist his punches head-on. Finn, at this time, will not be prepared for Akainu to get ready for another fight. Directly the same routine, flapping wings again. When Akainu's breath is disordered, close-range punch again. This time Akainu is prepared and starts to defend with fists. Long defense will lead to failure. How can he resist every time, and will he not get hurt if he resists with fists? Caught off guard, he was knocked away again. But Finn didn't intend to hold back, and directly caught up, in the air, constantly firing punches left and right. In a breath, Akainu's whole body has been injured to varying degrees, and he is in great pain, and he has no way out. Now his breath is disordered, and he can't foresee such a swift attack. For Finn, he is completely a living target. Finn doesn't intend to delay any longer. Fallen Angel Gear 2. Another classic high-low scene. Full-strength Ryasakura punches. Akainu did not give up resistance, but used his hands to resist, but under Finn's full-strength attack at this time, his arms were broken instantly. The fist hit the chest directly. Although Akainu was protected by the armed color and avoided a lot of damage, his eyes were full of horror, and the groan of pain overflowed from his mouth, and blood gushed out. The extreme pain spread throughout his body between the flesh and blood in his chest. His body was bent almost to lose its human shape, and it was unknown how many bones were broken. Under the huge impact, Akainu was directly hit deep underground. The surrounding sand quickly sank, forming a deep pit, dozens of meters deep. At this moment, whether it was the cute pet team or the mole vice admiral who came to pick up Akainu, they all had difficulty closing their mouths. The scene was obviously unbelievable to them, and it seemed beyond their understanding. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a brief stagnation, Vice Admiral Mole suddenly woke up. He knew the purpose of their coming here, but seeing Akainu's tragic death and Finn's unharmed really frightened him. Vice Admiral Mole felt a little fear for Finn, knowing that the next moment would be a matter of life and death. However, between reason and courage, Vice Admiral Mole decided to deal with it calmly. He took a deep breath and tried to calm his inner tension. Sir Finn, Vice Admiral Mole pretended to be calm and peaceful. You defeated Akainu and proved your strength, and we also admit defeat. Maybe we can talk and find a solution that both sides can accept. Besides, we didn't take any extreme actions. I think Admiral Akainu's behavior should be regarded as a challenge in the sea, and it shouldn't be to the point of a life-and-death struggle. Vice Admiral Mole calmly emphasized this point, trying to remain calm and rational in front of Finn. He knew that the current situation had developed to a very tricky point, and Finn's strength made him dare not act rashly. He tried to resolve the current situation through negotiations, and he also knew in his heart that Finn had the ability to listen to the voice of all things, and he could not be insincere. At the same time, Vice Admiral Mole was also thinking about Akainu's situation. He could not sense Akainu's breath under the observation color, which made him feel uneasy. "Oh, Vice Admiral Mole, we really have some fate. I remember that you handled the matter of the celestial dragons before, but why did I lose my Den Mushy authority?" Finn stared at Mole and said lightly. Vice Admiral Mole was slightly stunned when he heard Finn's mention, and he was a little uneasy for a moment, and then smiled bitterly. How can he be blamed for this? We are now in a hostile relationship with you. Isn't it reasonable for us to turn off the authority? Otherwise, wouldn't it be aiding the enemy? But he knew that in this situation, they were in a weak position. Too much debate could easily lead to things going to extremes. It was crucial to keep communication stable, especially Finn's strength made him feel terrified, but he did not intend to have any conflict at this critical moment. He just wanted to find a way to solve the current problem. "Sir Finn, please understand that this matter is not something I can decide. Even if you kill me, it will not solve the problem." Vice Admiral Mole expressed his helplessness and used a sophisticated tone to prevent the topic from being deadlocked. Finn knew that it would be impossible to have any results if he talked to these guys until dark, so he simply said it directly without planning to continue to entangle. 2 permanent pointers, 1 9 Snake Island, and 1 Sabaody Archipelago, this time the matter is over. Vice Admiral Mole heard it as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw, fearing that Finn had other conditions, and hurriedly agreed. In fact, Finn himself knew very well that he and the Navy had not yet reached a situation of life and death. If he did things to the extreme this time, then it would really be a life-and-death struggle, and what awaited him would definitely be the pursuit and interception of the Navy and the world government. The world government would never sit idly by when it came to the life and death of the Admiral. He will definitely investigate to the end. Finn is not very clear about what hidden strongmen there are in the world government, and he is also very wary. He only knows that the 5 elders are all strong men, but he does not believe that the world government that has ruled the world for 800 years is just a few strong men on the surface. There must be more hidden behind the scenes, dealing with shameful things. In fact, Finn also used his observation hotkey to carefully search for Akainu's whereabouts just now, but there was no trace, only a piece of magma. It made him feel incredible that Akainu's fruit ability had been developed to that extent. There was a large magma lake underground, making it difficult to judge whether he was hiding in the magma or had escaped long ago. The only thing that can be confirmed is that Akainu's life is really hard enough. However, fortunately, Finn defeated Akainu this time, which will make the Navy more cautious next time when dealing with him. Perhaps such a blow can keep them away from him for a while, so as not to always find ways to cause trouble for himself. Finn thought in his heart that he didn't have so much free time to fight with these people all day long. What he pursued was the transformation of strength and eternal life. Fighting and killing with this gang every day was meaningless to him. Not long after, Vice Admiral Mole arrived at the scene with 2 permanent pointers. Finn got his trophy and didn't bother too much. He directly said that he would give up and warned them to think more about it next time they make a decision. Then, Finn called his cute pet team and left. Only Vice Admiral Mole was left alone in the wind. However, Akainu did not escape, because there was only a desert below, not a volcano, and there was no place for him to escape. Just as Finn not long after leaving, he struggled to get out of the desert. At this time, his arms were broken, his face was bruised, and he didn't know how many bones were broken all over his body. It was really horrible. Seeing such a scene, Vice Admiral Mole felt a prick in his heart. It was too cruel. After a moment of silence, he made up his mind not to provoke Finn. It was too terrible. The man in front of him was not an ordinary person. Akainu, one of the 3 admirals, had become like this. If he went up, he would probably be disabled. He decided in his heart to stay away from Finn as much as possible in the future. Soon, 2 figures, Mole dragged Akainu, and slowly walked towards the warship in the port. In the wind, the footsteps seemed unusually heavy. Chapter 66. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Finn got the pointer to the 9 Snake Island, he decided not to waste time here. On the one hand, this place was all desert and had no appeal to him, especially since it had just experienced war and supplies were scarce. It was obviously not a good resort. On the other hand, there were no acquaintances. He was unfamiliar with the place, so he prepared to take his cute pet team directly to the Nine-Snake Island. After all, the domineering inheritance of the Nine-Snake Island made Finn quite envious. This was the first martial arts secret book he could get immediately after coming to this world. Isn't treasure hunting and finding secret books what most men have always yearned for? This is a throbbing written in the genes, how could it not make Finn's heart boil? Wex, get ready to go. Finn waved to his team and shouted loudly, Wix is the most spiritual and intelligent kung fu manatee, he thinks. Of course, this tribe is smart and has its own name. Finn assigned him the position of captain, and now he is the second person in the team. With Finn's order, Wix waved his flexible tail, and the team quickly got ready. Under the command of Wix, everyone prepared for departure in an orderly manner. This team is no longer a simple group, but a battle unit that has been run in and closely united. Sure enough, as long as things are arranged, it will be much easier. No wonder so many people like to be leaders. Now he only needs to give orders to Wix alone to easily manage the entire team. Compared with the previous situation where Finn arranged 10 cute pets by himself, it is so convenient. The leader opens his mouth and his subordinates run their legs off. It's so cool. Ever since Finn and Akainu had a shocking battle, his bravery and invincibility have long been deeply rooted in the hearts of this small group. Finn is now worshipped almost like a god. However, he did not have too much bad taste and simply asked this group of special subordinates to call him captain. There is no way, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. After all, on the sea, the title of captain has that unique flavor. Other messy titles can't be compared with it at all. Of course, it is actually Finn's own bad taste. If he travels through time and space and doesn't get a captain, it will be so embarrassing. Therefore, since he has a younger brother, he still has to give priority to one of the positions. It is a man's vanity, although he does not have a ship now, and no one is generous enough to give him a decent ship, he relies on his 2 legs to move at sea. It can be said that he is the poorest time traveler. At the Marineford Naval Headquarters, Akainu and Mole finally returned to the headquarters safely. When Sengoku saw Akainu's miserable condition, all his words were deflated, and his face was full of shock. He knew Akainu's strength very well. He could imagine the cruelty of the battle to make him suffer such injuries. Zhangguo couldn't help but start to imagine the whole battle process in his mind, thinking, what kind of scene could make this person injured like this? What is going on? Zhangguo asked after thinking for a while, trying to sort out his thoughts. The mole lowered his head and said nothing. His eyes briefly swept across Akainu's face. Akainu didn't say anything. How could he dare to say anything casually? Akainu was silent for a while, with a helpless and tired expression on his face. He really didn't have the face to say it out loud. He was crushed throughout the whole process and was seriously injured in a short time. Zhangguo looked at it and knew that he definitely didn't have the face to say it out loud, but this matter was obviously very important, and finally broke the silence. We need to know in detail what happened and what kind of strength Finn has. This is very important to us. Fortunately, Akainu still knew the seriousness of the matter and reported his unbearable battle in detail, talking and enduring at the same time. It was really a bit like rubbing salt into his wounds again, which really made him feel aggrieved. Soon, Akainu finished speaking, and Sengoku fell silent. This was completely beyond his expectations, as Finn's strength was far beyond his imagination. Without showing the domineering haki, he was able to crush Akainu with just the armament haki, and he was unharmed throughout the whole process. What kind of strength was this? It was a bit difficult for him to understand. However, Sengoku at least knew that it was now extremely difficult to deal with Finn. At least they could not find an effective countermeasure at the moment. This time, Sengoku was just considering the dignity of the Navy and wanted Finn to pay a price. He did not make a big fuss, but only sent Akainu to try to capture him. He did not expect too much success. If he could find out Finn's strength, it would mean the success of the operation. Then, they could further plan their strategy for Finn. However, the price of love was more tragic than he expected, almost crippling a general. This made Sengoku realize that he needed to suspend the plan immediately and not act rashly anymore. Garp, how strong do you think Finn is now? Sengoku hesitated, but still asked Garp, because they were both pure physical masters, and Garp had more say in this. His strength? Garp looked at the sea in the distance, not knowing if he was recalling something, his eyebrows slightly raised, and his face could not hide the strange smile. The details are unknown, but from the level of skill development, the practice of life return is already on par with rocks. It turned out that Garp was just recalling the scene when he fought against rocks in the Valley of the Gods. The most glorious moment in his life, the battle that laid the foundation for the fame of the Navy hero. Hey, okay, damn vanity of men, it's time, and they are still here to cheer themselves up. But judging from Akainu's report this time, he is at least an emperor-level fighter. I don't think I need to say more about Akainu's strength. Garp said very seriously. But there is one thing. Does Finn have the Conqueror's Haki? Or has no one been able to force him to use the Conqueror's Haki so far? If that's the case, it's terrible. And I really don't know how he trained. He's only 20 years old. This is the most difficult physical skill to break through. Obviously, this matter has touched their knowledge blind spots. Sengoku had no doubts about Garp's answer. Akainu's miserable condition was right in front of him, and Garp was also the person he thought had the most insights in physical skills, so, he could only give up and put Finn's matter aside for the time being. He really couldn't handle it, and it wasn't time to deal with it, so he said, out of sight, out of mind. And ordered not to bother Finn again. Of course, his set was completely unnecessary. Others didn't have time to hide, so who dared to be stubborn and risk their lives? Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It seems that the Nine-Snake Island is ahead. Is it the legendary Kingdom of Daughters? It's really exciting. But it seems that this country is a nation of warriors who advocate strength. Will they all be muscle Barbies? Yes, it was Finn who was thinking about it here at this time. He took his cute pet team and finally found this isolated legendary island in the doldrums after more than half a month of long-distance raids on the sea. After more than half a month, these young manatees with good physical fitness complained that they had no time to rest at all and were too tired from traveling every day. Captain, why did we run so far to come here? Wix asked in confusion. Hearing this, Finn was in a dilemma for a while. Thinking about how to explain it. After thinking for a long time, he found that he couldn't tell them the reason with simple gestures, so he gave up this plan. He could only pretend to be unfathomable and smile mysteriously. He gently patted their heads to comfort these exhausted little guys. Otherwise, Finn really needs to explain that the purpose of coming here is to let you learn Haki. He also needs to explain what Haki is, but he himself can't explain it clearly, so Finn simply didn't bother to explain, staring at the Nine-Snake Island not far away, and fell into thought. It seems that this Nine-Snake Island has an absolute rule of male ban for hundreds of years. Once a man enters this place, the end is to be eliminated. It is very hostile to men, and the social system is indeed a bit backward. It seems that they don't even understand the ability of devil fruits, and they regard the ability of snake fruit as a witch's curse. It seems that this place is really closed to information. If you go there like this, you may be directly attacked and cause a conflict. Thinking of this, Finn had to carefully consider the next action. After all, he didn't come here to fight, let alone to make enemies. To put it bluntly, he came to ask for help. If a conflict occurs, how can he ask for help? Besides, this place is protected by Rayleigh. He is also thinking about asking Rayleigh for advice on the domineering Haki. If the relationship is ruined because of this, it will be more trouble than gain. How can he ask for advice then? So, he is thinking about how to open the situation correctly, enter the Nine-Snake Island smoothly, and successfully learn the training method of armament Haki. Of course, it would be great if he could let these little brothers learn it, but after analyzing it over and over again, he didn't find a good way. Because the information here is extremely closed, it is very likely that only a few real high-level officials of the country know him. Of course, this is also his guess, but he still thinks that someone knows him. After all, he is now famous, but such a big nine-color island, if you break in directly, I don't know how many misunderstandings will be caused when people who know him come out. After all, the male-restricted area is not just talk. The women on the island are extremely hostile to men. This is tradition, religion, and clan rules. Besides, the people here are all domineering. Although he is not afraid, his little brothers are afraid. This is the calm belt, the nest of the sea kings. Along the way, his aura made the sea kings afraid and avoided him, so there were not too many twists and turns, but if he went in alone and left these brothers here, he would not feel at ease. Who knows what kind of accident will happen. These brothers are not strong enough to face the sea kings independently. Will they be defeated in vain? This made Finn feel troubled again. Captain, why don't we go over? Wicks looked at Finn in a daze and asked curiously. Finn couldn't explain it clearly. This was a bit complicated. He didn't answer. He just gently touched Wicks's little head and didn't say anything. Wicks was also very smart. He knew that Finn must have his own ideas and didn't bother him too much. Forget it, let's just go over there and negotiate. We can't just sit here and do nothing. Sisters, come and see, what is that? At this time, the guards at the fortress at the entrance of Nine Snake Island found Finn's traces and shouted loudly because they were too surprised. After hearing the shouts, the female warriors quickly rushed to the wall of the fortress and looked in the direction pointed by the guards. The scene in front of them really shocked them. They had never seen this on the island for many years. It was simply refreshing their horizons. They all had unbelievable expressions on their faces. Is that really a person, walking, on the sea? But how can a person walk on the sea? What are those behind him? Are they manatees? A group of young female warriors chattered and shouted incoherently. My own doubts, however, there are still smart people here and now. This is Kikyo, the national warrior of Nine Snake Island. Like other 9 snakes, she wears revealing clothes and carries a snake on her body, but she looks more mature. She knows that everything that goes against common sense must be beyond her own knowledge. People who can walk on the sea must be powerful. For the safety of the island, she immediately made arrangements. Daisy, quickly inform Lady Snake of this incident. Yes. Soon, Finn had arrived not far from the fortress. At this time, the female warriors on duty really saw the appearance of the newcomer, the iron-like body, the tall, strong, and bursting muscles, the bronze-healthy skin. The masculine aura is about to come out, especially the dark fire-colored flame cloud on his body makes his temperament more mysterious. For this group of strong female warriors, it is simply a deadly poison, and they keep swallowing saliva in their mouths. They are such a nation, straightforward, advocating strength, and believing that the stronger, the more beautiful. Finn's body shape is indeed very suitable for their aesthetics. Finn also discovered this at this time, which really made him a little embarrassed. He was using this to test the cadres, right? However, Finn just glanced at it and was not very interested, because the women here are all muscle Barbie, extremely strong, a real fighting nation, and all of them are strong warriors. Each one is stronger than men. Of course, there are no men here, and women are used as men. Stop, who are you? Don't you know that this is Nine Snake Island? Men are not allowed to enter. The female warrior on duty showed her guarding duties at this time, and shouted loudly after seeing Finn. She also knew that Finn must be a strong man. Although she was not knowledgeable enough, she was not stupid. Being able to walk over from the sea in a swagger, any normal person would not think it was a simple thing, but this place is Nine Snake Island, their base camp, and their rules certainly need to be maintained. The reason why they didn't launch a direct attack was because they were too afraid of Finn. Chapter 68. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Julent D. Finn, what are you doing here? You are not welcome here. Finn heard a light voice coming from a distance, and was a little surprised. He didn't expect that someone would recognize him so quickly. It seems that there will be no conflict. He couldn't help but feel happy. He looked curiously at the place where the voice came from, and saw a tall woman with a very good figure, who came over with the support of a group of people. She had long black hair and a princess hairstyle. The slightly wide forehead was smooth and flat, the deep blue eyes, the corners of the eyes were slender and delicate, and the almond eyes revealed a little coldness. She was wearing a Cheongsam-style clothing. Even if Finn had seen a lot in his previous life, he was still shocked at this time. She was really too beautiful. Finn knew that this should be the famous pirate queen Boa Hancock. After a glance, he shifted his gaze. Finn did not continue to stare at others. Although he was good-looking, Finn still knew how to be polite. He was a cultured man, although he was a muscular man now, he was a cultured boy inside. 7 Warlords of the Sea, Pirate Queen, Boa Hancock. Oh, I didn't expect that the famous era conspirator, a big man with 1.5 billion, actually knew me and came here specifically. It seems that he had a purpose, that obviously no one was a fool. As the leader of a country, Hancock had been plundering on the sea for many years. It was impossible for him not to know Finn, the current traffic celebrity, and it was immediately understood that Finn came here on purpose, and there must be something. But she didn't know whether the visitor was an enemy or a friend, so she couldn't help but be a little wary. She still looked at Finn carefully. He stood on the sea like a flat ground, with armed flame clouds wrapped around his body. Such a strong physique was simply inhuman, and she didn't have much confidence to win. Especially the recent bounty incident, she couldn't help but feel a little worried. When she saw a group of little manatees behind Finn, she frowned slightly and looked puzzled. What's going on? You, a tough guy, are actually going for a cute pet style? Well, it's true, but it's not a bad thing for you. Finn said lightly. Oh, why not say it clearly? Well, I heard that everyone on the 9 Snake Island is a warrior. I wonder if it's true. Indeed, our people advocate force, strength, and beauty. I also heard that almost everyone on the island is domineering. I don't know what you mean. Hancock asked in confusion, and suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. The atmosphere became a little tense for a while. Finn, seeing this, knew that there were some misunderstandings. After all, in the world of pirates, the strong usually rob things they like. When he said this, it was obvious that he had set his eyes on the domineering inheritance of others. How could this group of pirates who have been robbing on the sea for many years not be alert? In fact, this is what they usually do. This time someone came to their place and wanted to do such a thing. How could the atmosphere not be tense all of a sudden? Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to rob you of anything. Finn explained hurriedly. After all, he was asking for help from others, and he couldn't let the relationship become too stiff. The 9 Snake Island line involves a lot of people, and the relationship is very important. It is better to make friends. When the time comes to connect with Rayleigh, it will be more likely to play the favor card. Oh, then why did you come here? I don't think someone like you would come here in a hurry. Also, how do you have the pointer here? Hancock asked curiously. After all, the 9 Snake Island is extremely closed, and it is not easy to enter and exit. What's the matter with this permanent pointer? Is the location of the 9 snakes known to so many people? This is not a good thing. After all, they are all pirates. It is inevitable that they feel a little uncomfortable when their base camp is exposed and so many people know about it. The permanent pointer was given to me by the Navy. Finn said truthfully. The Navy gave it to you? Hancock was a little confused at this time. This guy had just been wanted for 1.5 billion. Why would the Navy give him something? For a moment, she was a little confused. Don't get me wrong, it's just a trophy. Seeing her puzzled face, Finn planned to tell her about it directly, on the one hand, to show his military strength, and on the other hand, to make him feel at ease about the pointer. Of course the Navy won't give it to me so easily. It's just that they defeated the admiral and then threatened it. It's very simple, not that complicated. Hearing this, the group of people were shocked. Is it so fierce? Threatening with the admiral of the Navy. Hancock was even more vigilant at this time. As a famous strong man in the world, it must be that she is not like the residents of the island, who are blocked from information and have no idea about it. How could she not know how strong the admiral of the Navy was? How could she not be afraid of the operation of exchanging the admiral for the pointer? She couldn't help thinking that Finn must have a purpose in coming here. If a conflict broke out, 9 Snake Island would suffer a huge loss, and it was not certain whether they could survive. Alas, as a pirate, the cognition is to fight and kill, rob, and the whole way of thinking is like this. The cognition is solidified, but fortunately Finn can't read minds, otherwise you would despise him. He is a civilized person, how can you look at him like this? He came with the purpose of friendly communication. Finn saw that the foreshadowing was almost done, and everything that should be shown had been shown. He believed that Hancock should be able to make a smart judgment, so he didn't intend to waste time and prepared to get straight to the point. I heard that there is a set of training methods for warriors on the island, which can help people master the armed color smoothly. It just so happens that my crew is still relatively weak, and I want them to join you to learn. Finn pointed to a group of kung fu manatees behind him. This made Hancock even more confused, and she thought she had heard it wrong. The crowd also had different expressions. What? We want to teach these animals to be domineering. Is this possible? Really? Isn't this idea a bit naive? We have never done such a thing. Hancock calmed down and looked at Finn, wanting to know Finn's true intention. After looking for a long time, she came to no conclusion and looked at the kung fu manatee behind Finn. They all looked really energetic, but she didn't know how to answer for a while. How could they teach them? Wouldn't it be embarrassing? If you want to find fault, just say it clearly. Finn knew that he was indeed forcing others. So he spoke again. You don't have to feel pressured. My little brothers are very talented. Don't worry that they can't learn. Of course, it's their fault if they can't learn. Just teach them equally. Of course, you will gain my friendship. Hearing this, Hancock suddenly became energetic. The man in front of her was not an ordinary person. If they could really make friends, it would only benefit them, not harm them, so, after thinking about it, they agreed. Finn also had a little understanding. It seems that the so-called rules are just used to restrain the weak. The strong are the rules themselves. Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Obviously, the world has disappointed Finn again. There are no martial arts secrets or outlines in this world. From Hancock, I learned that the domineering training of Nine Snake Island is just a set of training methods that have been summarized and optimized from generation to generation, combined with the unique medicine of Nine Snake Island. When he heard about the medicine, Finn still had some expectations. After all, he had explored this thing alone for a period of time and was quite fascinated, although it ended up in vain. However, the mysterious knowledge of potions, alchemy, and elixir has long been filled in various novels in his previous life. How can this not make Finn fantasize and think crookedly? Therefore, he has always wanted to dig out the extraordinary information about the year-old medicinal materials that may exist and are still unknown. However, when he learned that the armed color guided by the drug would inhibit the growth potential of his own armed color and even limit the accumulation of armed color, Finn shuddered. This is not okay. The amount of armed color is his life. Isn't it a hooligan to talk about the medicinal properties without dosage? He has always been a person who takes a lot of energy and uses his power to suppress others. If the growth of armament hockey is limited, how can he crush others violently? Armament hockey is the basis of all his combat skills. The opening of the divine body requires armament hockey to protect himself. Finn's consumption of armament hockey is much higher than that of ordinary people. If the amount of armament hockey is less, he will be really finished. He also instantly extinguished his intention to try drugs casually. There was still a sense of relief in his heart. Fortunately, the previous random consumption of medicinal materials did not produce bad effects. Otherwise, he would have wanted to die now. At the same time, he also understood some things about Nine Snake Island. No wonder almost everyone on Nine Snake Island knows armament hockey, but they are not strong. It turns out that because the amount of armament hockey is too small, it can usually only be used on arrows in a small range to increase the power of shooting. No wonder Luffy did not practice armament hockey in Nine Snakes, but Rayleigh taught him. So they were afraid of ruining Luffy, so they specially arranged Rayleigh to teach him, right? After understanding the specific situation, Finn no longer had any thoughts about the armed color inherited from the Nine Snake Island. After all, only the unknown is mysterious, and mystery is attractive. Now that he understands it, it has no attraction to Finn, so, he left his cute pet team to practice, and reluctantly went to the island where Luffy practiced in the original work alone. once again alone, on the windless belt and the isolated island, Finn suddenly had a feeling of returning to the beginning of the time travel, and this scene was so similar. However, at this time, he had the power to influence the world situation, and it had only been 3 years since he left. Finn was a little emotional, and he felt as if he had been in another world. Standing on the high point of the island, he overlooked the sea below, and his thoughts surged like a tide. This island was supposed to be the place where Luffy practiced his armament hockey, but now it will become the starting point for Finn to pursue his conqueror hockey. Time flies so fast. Finn sighed, looking into the distance, as if he could travel through the tunnel of time and see himself when he first entered this world. However, he knew that he could not stay in his memories forever, and the future was what he really had to face. Finn decided to practice on this island for some time. In this quiet environment, he decided to carefully experience the battle scenes of the strong men he saw on the Drum Island and dig out more secrets of conqueror hockey. However, at this time, an unexpected person did appear here, which surprised Finn. This person was Rayleigh, because the news that Finn asked the Navy for the permanent pointer of 9 Snake Island was known by Xia Qi. She was worried that Finn would be unfavorable to this place, and this island had no resistance for Finn, because he was worried about his hometown. Xia Qi asked Rayleigh to come and find out what the reason was. Rayleigh still couldn't refuse the old man's request, so this scene happened. Julent D. Finn, you are so young. Rayleigh said to him with a smile. Finn was also quite surprised to see Rayleigh, but he had always planned to ask Rayleigh for advice, so he had been prepared. This hasty meeting did not catch him off guard. Pluto Rayleigh Sr. is still strong and healthy. It's really not simple. Oh, it seems that I, an old guy, don't need to introduce myself, ha ha ha. How many people on the sea don't know a legendary figure like you? Rayleigh praised Rayleigh. Finn knew very well that he would ask for advice next. It wouldn't cost him anything to say something nice. The young man is really good at talking. But what is your purpose here? Your current strength makes many people worried. Rayleigh looked at Finn and said meaningfully. Ha ha ha. There is no need to worry. I am not a pirate. You don't need to worry about me burning, killing and robbing. What do you think? Rayleigh was also stunned after hearing Finn's words, and then he thought about it. After a while, he smiled. Indeed, you are not a pirate. Ha ha ha. What an interesting young man. After a conversation, Finn and Rayleigh were no longer so unfamiliar, and the two gradually began to chat. Seeing this, Finn felt that the time was right, so he wanted to ask about the conqueror's hockey. But when the words came to his lips, he suddenly found that he didn't know how to start. Should he really ask Rayleigh to help him verify whether he has conqueror's hockey? Or whether he can help him awaken conqueror's hockey? This request is obviously against common sense in this world, and it is obviously a bit out of place and a bit maverick. He is not sure. Such a request, will his behavior remind these strong men of something? After all, there is such a thing as possession in this world, right? Animal-type devil fruits have consciousness, and they can possess bodies. In the original work, Kaido's expression when facing Nika Luffy was as if he mistakenly thought he was possessed. Finn's identity as a time traveler is the biggest secret in his heart. He doesn't want anyone to doubt, be alert, or know about it. Otherwise, it is entirely possible that he will become the world's public enemy. However, his extreme desire for the domineering color made him struggle involuntarily in his heart. Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Finn was in a dilemma at this time, and he had no idea how to ask about the conqueror's hockey. Suddenly, an idea came to him, and he thought, maybe he could ask Rayleigh how they found out that they had conqueror's hockey and used it. Could it be a fake? Angry, narrowed his eyes, shouted, and the conqueror's hockey came. Finn would not believe this. Senior, I wonder when you and Pirate King Roger awakened the conqueror's hockey? Can you tell me? The ambition is not small. Conqueror's hockey is not so easy to master, and the qualifications of the king are not just talk, Rayleigh thought in his heart. In fact, we don't know. You don't disbelieve it. The fact is this. In the adventures of exploring the clues of One Piece again and again and in desperate situations, I suddenly had this power. Rayleigh looked at Finn as he said, afraid that he would not believe it, because it was really incredible. Very strange, right? But this is the truth. We understand it as the power of belief, which is why Roger has been chasing One Piece, because this is the source of his power. Rayleigh still patiently told Finn, even if it was hard to believe, but with his identity, there was no need to explain anything else. At this time, Finn was greatly shocked. He looked at Rayleigh's expression, trying to see some truth from it, but obviously, he couldn't. It seems that what Rayleigh said is the truth. The Conqueror's haki is the product of their beliefs. This is definitely acquired. Finn murmured in his heart, the reason for this certainty is that he himself has analyzed the Conqueror's haki and reached such a conclusion, and Rayleigh's description coincides with his views, exactly the same. How can this not make him excited? It's like suddenly finding a guiding light in the confused night sky. Finn, breathing a little heavy, because this information is too important to him. Maybe it is useless to others, but for him, it is the evidence of all his speculation. This made his pure speculation about the domineering color rise to the level of factual evidence. Can I feel the domineering color of the senior? After trying to calm down his excitement, Finn asked Rayleigh. Rayleigh did not have any bad feelings towards Finn. Who doesn't like being polite to others? Besides, this is not a difficult thing, so he readily agreed to Finn's request. Suddenly, a huge pressure was transmitted from Rayleigh, and the whole island was silent in an instant. Then, the sky became gloomy, the atmosphere began to surge, and the strong airflow formed an invisible ripple, accompanied by a huge impact, and spread rapidly to the surroundings. The air became extremely heavy, as if it was shrouded by a powerful force. Whether it was a human or an animal, it would be shocked by this force and produce a strong sense of fear. Any object touched by the spreading force will be affected by this force. The ground cracked, the trees broke, and the space seemed to be crushed by an invisible force. Finn also suffered from this shock from the soul. He felt a little uncomfortable. Facing the impact at close range really opened his eyes. He finally got what he wanted and experienced the domineering color of a truly strong person. No wonder it is said that those with strong wills will involuntarily feel submissive, while those with weak wills will directly lose consciousness. It is really this soul-stirring power that is too strong. It makes the creatures instinctively surrender, give up resistance, and compromise. The strong need to fight hard, and the weak faint under self-protection. Faced with such a sense of oppression, Finn happily accepted those definitions of middle school at this time. This is the direct gaze of the king. Finn also felt the difference from Ace's domineering color. Ace's domineering color carries extreme anger. However, Rayleigh's domineering color did not have this emotion, as if it was simply embracing everything. Could it be that this is the transformation brought about by the belief of wanting to change the world? With such doubts, he gradually fell into deep contemplation. If it is really a transformation of will and belief, then how can I not have it? Isn't the transformation and transcendence of the flesh that I have been pursuing my belief? What is going on? Rayleigh also noticed Finn's abnormality at this time, and did not choose to disturb this young man, but looked forward to what kind of shock this unique young man would bring to him. Aren't goals like transcendence and immortality inferior to pursuing One Piece? Finn kept asking himself and constantly examining himself. It must not be like this. It's not a problem with the goal itself, so it's my problem. Is it that the belief is not pure enough? In another self-denial and self-reflection, Finn began to further recalling the journey from his past life to this life. The great terror under life and death, the instinctive fear of life, made him think of pursuing transcendence and immortality, and the transformation of the system's qualifications made this path seem possible. But after thinking about it carefully, Finn found that this did not seem to have a direct relationship with belief, but was just a natural performance of life in the fear of life and death. This is not a belief to sacrifice life for. Finn found that he had been making choices based on reason all the way. Such a route can maximize the value of his trump card, which is correct, but he gradually lost his sharp heart. Just like the Navy's policy, it is difficult for the Navy generals to awaken the domineering color. It is not that there is a problem with the justice they uphold. It is that their hearts have never been indomitable, and there is a planned path. He even wanted to secretly accumulate the energy of transformation and then develop to the strongest. In fact, he had already gone astray, and that would only get the strength of power, not the strength of will, and not the real strength. Conqueror's Haki is a spiritual transformation, which requires extreme belief or will to support it. Without this as a premise, the transformation of Conqueror's Haki is like a castle in the air. Thinking of this, Finn was instantly shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. It turned out that Conqueror's Haki is Conqueror's Haki, and strength is strength. They are two completely different things. Even if you keep accumulating, it is impossible to awaken Conqueror's Haki. He found that the key to the problem was that the belief was not pure enough, and there was no unstoppable momentum, so it was impossible to resonate with your own Conqueror's Haki and form your own momentum. Now he has two growth routes to choose from: give up Conqueror's Haki, slowly accumulate transformation energy, wait for the transformation of qualifications after a few years, and then continue to practice strength and grow overall strength, but Finn is definitely not going to choose it. After a long wait of several years without the improvement of strength, I don't know if it will cause mental discomfort and spiritual degeneration. This is unacceptable. Then you can only strengthen your belief and move forward. It seems that I was really wrong. I weighed the pros and cons too rationally and lost my enterprising spirit. No wonder I heard in my previous life that it is better to take the straight path than to seek the crooked path. Since I can't hide, I will be willful next time. Finn determined the direction of the next step in his heart: the new world. Whitebeard can occupy it, Kaido can occupy it, Big Mom can occupy it, so can I. Get ready to welcome your king. Instantly realizing himself, this time, he wants more people to serve his transformation, to achieve the ultimate transformation, and to be upright. Finn couldn't help but started laughing wildly. Ah! Ha ha ha! Ah! Ha ha ha! Ah! Ha ha ha! Ah! Ha ha ha! Suddenly, an invisible momentum spread from Finn. At this time, Rayleigh couldn't help but sweat on his forehead. This is the domineering color. How can it be so easy to transform?